Hey guys, what's up? This is Excalibur. I am currently in a new game that I started playing a couple days ago called Subsistence. It's created by one guy, and it was a project where he basically wanted to see what it would take to make a game, and lo and behold, he made a game. Pretty damn good game so far. Um, there's a lot to it. I played a lot of Rust, 7 Days, just, Reign of Kings, Space Engineers, Empyrean, all kinds of games like this where, it revolves around survival and crafting and basically building something to a means. I haven't really found a game, that kind of answers the end question of what's it all for, but this is very early development. It's playable, definitely. There's some bugs, but it's surprisingly just very well made. There's a lot to it. There's a lot of little details that are here that just aren't in a lot of these other games, and I find that he's kind of answered, a lot of my questions as far as some of these studios is, once they start a project, they probably start out pretty similar to this guy, but, politics, marketing, cash flow, all these things come into play, and you kind of have to go where the money is. So, Rust, for instance, in its legacy days, it was, it started out as a survival game, and it very quickly went to a PvP raiding game, and, now it's just specifically that. It's King of the Hill, raiding, last man standing type deal, and it's a great game, don't get me wrong, I love it. I've played thousands and thousands of hours of it, but it's, it went far away from any kind of PvE. Honestly, I don't think it ever really was too much PvE. 7 Days to Die is another one. Run a server in that, and I love that game. There's a lot of elements you could play by yourself and still, be engrossed in it, but it's just, it's taken a long time for a lot of things to come into development because you have all these different aspects of the game. You have zombies, you have all these other, type of things. Whereas this game is strictly, as it is now, it is PvE. It's you against these animals and hunters. AI hunters, which I haven't activated yet because I'm honestly just trying to understand the mechanics of the game. But I've gotten to where I pretty much understand it now. I've built a decent little base here, and I'm starting to get my power issues sorted out and whatnot. So the hunters will probably get activated here pretty soon. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to explain this game, what I've noticed so far. I will say that it makes a lot of sense to me what he's done as far as as far as starting out with some pretty high-end features while ignoring some really basic features. So you don't have a bow, you don't have a way to make fire, you don't have some real super basic stuff, but you have electricity, you have just these dynamic ways to raise animals and plant and just all these different things that aren't in a lot of these other games. So I feel like, hey, he's one guy, he's like, you know what, I can't compete with these studios. I can't sit here and promise people they're gonna get these things and not deliver years later. Nobody will be around. So let me just put that stuff out now, and then they know what I'm about, and then we can develop these simple things as we go. Alright, so I'm gonna yeah, so you'll see here we got a wolf. It's a level 1 wolf, 85 HP out of 85. So what happens in this game is when animals basically eat you, they gain level. So there's no leveling system for me yet. He hasn't implemented that yet, but the more HP, the harder it is to kill them. I found with the weapons, the shotgun it does a lot of damage. I guess it does 95, so I could technically kill him with one shot. But the spread, I have to be really close to them. And I've had instances where they're right on top of me and I'm shooting them and nothing's happening. So shotgun's a little tricky. I'm not in love with it. I had some shells, so I made one to use the shells. But you'll find in this game, ammo is what it's all about. Ammo kind of makes the whole cycle work. You need biofuel in order to run your generator and, you know, get power into your base, unless you've got solar panels. But even then, you need biofuel to get to solar panels, because you got to be able to refine down ore and copper and stuff to make the solar panels. So, you know, it's all about the biofuel. Now you can run around, you can grab these little plants, not these are that's blueberries. So there's blueberries, fiber, and then there's these medicinal plants. Medicinal plants, 4 of those gives you 1 biofuel. They're few and far between. I mean, it's not too hard to find them, but you know, you're not going to get a lot of biofuel doing that. The best way to do it is to kill the animals and render the fat down in the wood burning furnace, which will give you a good amount of biofuel. So you run that small generator, and yeah, you're able to start powering your base. Now your base has a command unit, console unit or whatever, and it basically tells you what your input and output is for the base itself. So it tells you how much electricity you're using, it tells you how much you're gaining based on what systems you have in place. You also have mass in this game, so it's interesting. It's a little bit like Empyrean in this way, like the way the systems are kind of set up and working cohesively, and it's a nice little balance. So yeah, I'm really liking that aspect of it. For now, there's no points of interest in the map, so it's just basically rough landscape and not too much difference in biomes. You have some snowy areas, but the map's not super big. It's pretty small still, so it's manageable. You're not dealing with a lot of render issues. But for now, you've got these crates. So these crates give you random things. There's like 5 different types of crates. Medical, ammo, these crate boxes that just basically have like building materials and stuff. And for now, that's how you got to get a lot of these things. Scrap iron's another thing. You need scrap iron for just about everything. There's one right here, and you just literally pick them up. You also have ore, but you know, there's no nodes like there is in a lot of other games. You actually got to pick them from the big rocks. You'll see little tiny multicolored, you know, stones, if you will, on them. And basically, you know, there's zinc, there's copper, there's platinum, there's not platinum, potassium and iron. And those things are needed for different things. So I will show you, so the wolves, you know, and the bears, they're aggressive, obviously. They have an aggro field, but what's interesting is it's not all or nothing. So you'll reach this cusp of the aggro field, and they'll growl, basically. And, yeah, there you go. So he's smelling around, he's looking for me. I could back away, and he might even get on my trail a little bit, but he won't actually attack until I'm like in his direct aggro field. So it's kind of cool. You know, there's a lot of angles, there's a lot of rough hills and terrains, and you're not always going to see things coming. So sometimes you'll stumble around a corner and there's a bear. You actually kind of have a chance to avoid it if, you know, if you walk methodically and you're not just running around like crazy. Stamina is a big thing too, so yeah, see, I got some ammo here. These are the gunpowder. Shell casings are what's hard to get. To make shell casings, you gotta have a workbench, and you gotta use copper, ore, and just, yeah, there's a lot to it. You'll see chickens and rabbits. You can catch them and actually shelter them in your base, and they'll, you know, chickens will yield eggs, and you can actually build them up in level. And the higher the level, the more meat you get from them. This is what I'm talking about with details. So he added some things, but he didn't just add them basic, like he thought about it. So there's upgrades to everything, and it's either efficiency upgrades or it's power consumption upgrades. You know, just these different things that make the game and make kind of the end game a little more fun. Because yeah, you know, I could build my base and I can somewhat survive. But, you know, I want to get these upgrades. I want to get these added things that will, you know, make my base even more efficient and yield more. And, you know, I actually have a fridge now, but, you know, I was like, yeah, I got a fridge. Cool. Now I can store meat. I'm good to go. I can start hunting. I won't be hungry anymore. No, like, that fridge takes a lot of power, and that means I constantly have to have power in my base, which means I need a sustained power source. And one solar panel, which was hard as hell to get, is not going to do it. So I need, looks like about 10 solar panels. That's about 15 copper fragments. And I think it's 1 to 1, so we're talking 15 nodes. That's roughly three to four copper nodes times 10, right? So that's about 40 copper nodes I gotta find in order to have sustainable power in my base. That's not a one-day thing. So, you know, it's cool. I love it because it's not like a one-day I conquer and I'm done thing. All right, so this is a military box. I'm too poor to have lockpicks. I had one. I opened one. A lot of good stuff. This is kind of breaking my heart a little bit because I can't open this thing. I wish I could like shotgun it open, but not gonna happen. So I just gotta let that go. But yeah, there's an obscene amount of stuff in these big ones, including weapons parts. You need weapons parts in order to upgrade the weapons, and that's the only place you can find them. So I guess the hunters have them as well. Again, I haven't even messed with the hunters yet because the thought of, you know, adding that to this is, yeah. Okay, so here, yeah, we got the medicinal plant, and we got some fibers. Fibers, you use that to craft cordage. You need cordage for basic walls and building, and yeah, there's only one step to building so far, so it's wood. Looks pretty good though. Yeah, building, he didn't go so far with building as he did with the what you put in the base. Now building, you know, in the same, it's a really straightforward way to build. I like it. It's a lot like Rust. It's not a blocked style. It's you know, foundations and, you know, stuff to that effect. But what I like about it is he's got curves, and the way you place stuff is a little more free than like Rust. Rust, you always had to put stuff in the center. You always had to put stuff on pillars, and especially with the stairs, those L-shaped stairs, it'd be a pain in the ass because, you know, you got to put it on the entire foundation. And then if you want to put a door, it's like, you know, you're doing that little crouch thing just to get through the door, you know, past the, you know, the bottom of the stairs. This way you can actually set it on the back portion of the foundation, and it still gives you a nice little step area. So just little details. It's like I wish I could ask the guy like what he played. I haven't seen it written anywhere like what he actually has played before, but I feel like he's played a lot of the same games I've played and seen the issues and goes, you know what, I'm gonna start off by fixing that. You want to craft a pickaxe. I learned this the hard way. I thought I was going to be smart and just keep the hatchet to chop this ore down and go, yeah, it takes some time, but it's okay. But no, yeah, it actually yields double when you use the pickaxe. You got to get really super close to these things. So 3 potassium ore there. It's obviously going to allow me to make gunpowder, which I thought gunpowder was going to be the issue, but bullet casings is definitely the issue. It's kind of funny. It's a lot like 7 days in that respect, right? All about those casings. Alright, so we're approaching the base. I kind of started out the video this way just so I can give you the idea of the rough terrain before showing off my very humble little abode. It's nothing great. I'm still learning. Again, I started playing this like 2 days ago, so I haven't watched a whole lot of videos or anything, so this is just me kind of figuring stuff out as I go. You can see I got my 1 solar panel up there. Many more have to go up there. Got a little balcony situation going. This is the little animal shelter. I don't have any animals yet because I can't feed or water them, so I don't want to put them in there just to die. So this rears animals up to level 3, but you can see you got upgrades. So go free range. I can, you know, with all these obscene items, I can upgrade this to allow the animals to run around and get fatter, basically, reach level 10. I could take their shit, basically, and make fertilizer out of it for planting. I haven't even done the planting beds yet. But you could see everything that you make, it requires energy and mass in order to even craft it. So this is the game where, you know, I started out and I'm like, okay, let me do the animal. This was literally the first thing I made after a refinery, was this animal shelter, because I was like, I need food. If I could just run around and catch chickens and put them in here, I'll have eggs and then I'll just have food forever. Nah, it's not that easy. You got to, your base has got to be able to craft those things. So it's a little methodical and how you actually make the stuff, and I skipped some steps and did it the hard way. This is the water drill. I haven't reached the depth yet in order to get to water. I need my energy for more important things right now, so I lived on a foundation on a wall for a long time. It took me a while to make this. Every wall is, you know, resources. It's cordage, it's wood, it's nails, so, you know, it takes a lot to make something. It's not a right-away thing. It's not like you could just go gather wood for half an hour and build an entire base. It's a lot more to it. This is the weapon upgrade bench. This is where I can make casings, and you can actually make grenades. I guess that's to raid the hunters or whatever. Real kind of end game stuff. My prized possession, the fridge. That has nothing in it because I don't dare turn it on yet. It takes a lot of power. Got my generator. Empty right now. Need biofuel. Don't have any. Well, I got one there. Throw that in there. See a little bit of fuel. This is the base command unit. This is what controls everything. Allows you to craft stuff for your base. I haven't even made a bed yet. So when you make a bed, you're able to charge up respawns basically. So you don't just respawn as much as you want. You actually have to build those up. So haven't done that yet, so I can't give you the full scoop on it. But yeah, so you can see, right now I'm trickling solar energy like nothing into the base, and yeah, mass is up, so I gotta get this up. And I'm a refinery with a bunch of ore that I can't burn down because I don't have energy. it's a process, you know. It's different, and I like it. I like it a lot. It's different. It's not easy. I can actually upgrade the lenses to where I can have multiple lenses and cook down multiple ore at once, so that's kind of cool. And then there's a increased power efficiency upgrade that I can execute as well. This little beauty, this is where you can cook food, fuel. I can render fat here, and ignition. Now ignition's a big deal here, and this is probably the first big hiccup I had with the game. Was they give you a match when you spawn, and that's it. There's no other way to start a fire but that match. So I kind of made a campfire because I just wanted to check out how to make a campfire, and that was it. I extinguished it, and I went to make one again, and I'm like, well, wait a minute. And I think I died shortly after. It was nighttime, and yeah, I was just screwed. So hold on to those matches. When you find them in boxes, like, hold on to them. I've got about 19 there, and I don't just use them half-heartedly. I save them up. Same with my food and fruit and stuff. I got a little rabbit here. He's been chilling there for the whole time. Did my fire just go out as I was saying? Wow. Yeah. So. All right. Yeah, that happened. You know, at one point, this was charging the base, or so I thought. I was getting like 0.33 in, and the only thing that I could tell was running was this, and I was like, well, wait a minute, did he like mean for this to be like a gasifier type deal, to where I'm like, I was like, that's cool as hell, like, you know what I mean? But it doesn't do that anymore, so I don't know if that's because I added something that negated that, or I don't know, but I thought that was cool. I mean, if that was his intention, was to make a gasifier, yeah, but I don't know. So, yeah, but yeah, I mean, these are power storage. So this ups your capacity for power. So I'm up to 1500 with these two guys. This is a mass storage that upped to 100. This is a mass fabricator. So problem with mass is you don't just generate it like you do power, right? So you can get a mass recycler, or a recycler that will convert anything into mass, which I haven't done yet, and that's probably be the easier way to do it. But instead, I convert energy to mass using this. So it basically just drains the energy and puts it into mass slowly. But of course, all these systems still require power, so you still have to run the generator and biofuel, and so it's a big process. Finally got the roof on this puppy. Little window there. The other thing with the base too is the distribution of heat. So if you're running that, you'll be warm by the stove, but you're not going to be that warm over here. Now, because it's a closed space, you're warmer than you are outside. I'm not sure if the window affects it. I kind of feel it does. So I actually got rid of a window downstairs because I thought that, but I haven't really tested it too much. Then I got the roof here. You can actually deconstruct stuff, so you can hold down delete and take stuff up, and you get half the resources back. So that's kind of cool. I actually had to make a L stairs to get up there to put that up there, and then I took it down. It's not like Rust where you just throw it and forget about it. You actually have to like think about what you're wasting. You get about 3 to 5 wood from trees. Those bigger oaks, I guess, are like 5. These little pine trees are like 3. So yeah, this is it. I mean, this is a lot of labor for a couple days of playing this, and it wasn't easy. I died a bunch of times, don't get me wrong. Once I knew I was dying, I got smart and I started tearing my pants up, because you get the cloth from that, so I was like stacking cloth. Which is, yeah, like 17 now. But, I mean, you know, you accumulate stuff. Got a lot of ash. You know, I know that from playing all these games. You gotta keep the charcoal / ash or whatever, make gunpowder, so I saw that coming a mile away. And I didn't realize that until yesterday when I made the workbench, but that's needed, so. Got the different guns. I got the rifle. Got the M6, or sorry, M9, so. But yeah, I mean, ammo's a thing. Ammo is it's a process, and you don't get too many casings, and it takes 4 of these casings to make 1 round of 7.62. So it takes about 5 rounds to kill a bear. It takes about 2 to 3 rounds to kill a wolf. So you can survive off of an animal a day, maybe 2, right? Because it's random. Sometimes you don't get meat, sometimes you just get liver, sometimes you get both, sometimes you just get fat and cloth. That happened to me once. So it's really random. So you kind of have to kill about 2 animals a day to guarantee that you're going to have enough food. I have noticed that you can live off of fruit, but that's not an easy process either, because you really got to actively go out there and gather. Blueberries are a lot easier to find nowadays, but still, it's still a process. So you know, it's all tactics. It's all what you want to do, and you know, how you play. I'm not the biggest fan of running around all day gathering, not gathering, but scavenging, I would say. I don't mind gathering. I love, you know, in 7 days I was the guy that dug down to bedrock straight off and got all the materials I needed and then built stuff. I wasn't the guy going through the apartment buildings and, you know, grabbing stuff and breaking it down. I wasn't into that. So there's a couple different ways you kind of can play it, but at this stage you kind of have to be a scavenger. You have to go to the crates. You got to do these things in order, you know, especially with the scrap iron, in order to do anything. So I hope in time he develops it to where you can sustain from doing like core gathering and not, you know, depending on items that you get in points of interest. So I hope that happens along the road. But what I see right now is I see the potential for a great PvE survival co-op game, and I know multiplayer's coming. I'm really excited about it. There's about 2 or 3 guys that I game with all these other games, and we've been looking for a game like this for a long time. Any PvE servers you go into in these other games are just, you know, the game's not designed for it. There's no, you know, there's not a lot to, I mean, Emperion's probably the closest one to this, I would say, the space survival game, because it's got AI as well. It's got a lot of the you know, the different base modules and crafting workbenches and whatnot that yeah, you can, you know, it's a lot like this. But I like space. I love Space Engineers. Used to play it a lot. Love how in depth it is. But I always wanted Rust to be something like this, and I really hope that the developer doesn't get into that PvP raiding trap to where he's got to focus most of his energy on balancing that, because it's a problem. You've seen what Rust has had to do. You've seen what all these other games have had to do in order to cater to that, and it's, you know, it would be so much better if it was co-op and the AI was what the focus was. So make the hunters the thing, make them the people you have to raid and whatnot, but you can control that easier when you put two actual players together in the game. And you know, there's so many variables, there's so many balancing issues, there's so many, you know, glitches that can be exploited by actual players than AI. You know, you can control an AI setting, you can control how we can get to an AI setting and raid them and whatever. That's a lot easier. So you know, I just really hope that the focus stays on, you know, these complex survival situations, time management, risk management. All these things are great, and I just hope it gets amplified moreover. And then I hope at some point, you know, there's an answer to the question as, you know, why am I doing this? What's the end game? What's the you know, what happens after I've got a base full of stuff and I can eat and I've got plenty of ammo and I can go out and slaughter every animal here, you know? What do we do? Is there, you know, will the AI eventually be somebody that we can negotiate with, that we can trade with? Can we create a community with? I don't know if these things are even in the thought process, but it'd be cool to see something like that. It'd be cool to see a, you know, a story arc, you know, kind of a creation of, you know, what am I here for? What am I doing? What's the goal? Because in a real world setting, you know, there'd be survival, but eventually there'd be rebuilding. There'd be, you know, a need for community. There'd be a need for, you know, and a lot of these games have that potential to be that real, almost, you know, role play type of community setting, but it just never happens because it's always about raiding. It's always about, you know. So I'd really like to see a game do that. A game promote co-op community. You know, if it be like, you know, a player leveling system, if it be classes, like almost in an RPG type deal. You have medics, you have, you know, these different traits that you have to build up that make you valuable in a community setting. But anyway, I'm rambling. This is kind of the basics of what I've done so far, and I hope that yeah, I hope this was informative. I hope people support this guy. I think it's amazing that, you know, he's made this all by himself, and I'm jealous. I wish I did it. So least I could do is promote the guy, and yeah, you guys have a good one.